In this video, I look at issues with some pool league rules. The biggest problem is every league has a different set of rules. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody would just use the same official rules of pool as published by the World Pool Billiard Association or WPA? The resource page linked in the video description has links to the official WPA rules and the rule sets for popular league systems. The page also lists the important differences among league rules. In this video, I discuss some of the rule differences and recommend a few changes. First, let's cover the rule that bugs me the most, the VNEA frozen cue ball push shot rule. Under VNEA rules, you are required to hit the cue ball at an angle to the side or vertically of at least 45 degrees, otherwise the shot is considered a push shot foul. So this shot, where the cue ball is frozen to the 11 and I plan to pocket the 13 in the corner, is a foul under VNEA rules. Under the WPA official rules of pool, you are allowed to hit into a frozen cue ball since it does not involve a double hit or a push. Here's an excerpt from my Everything You Need to Know About Frozen Ball Shots video that explains why. Under the WPA official rules of pool, you are allowed to hit into a frozen cue ball since it does not involve prolonged contact or a double hit or push. In super slow motion, you can clearly see that the hit is normal and legal with a shot like this. The shot might feel different, but it is definitely not a push shot. The VNEA should get rid of this seemingly arbitrary rule. It makes no sense, it serves no useful purpose, and it has many problems. First, the shot is legal under the official rules of pool, and we should stick to the official rules whenever possible. As super slow motion video clearly shows, the shot is not a double hit or a push, so it should not be defined as a push shot. Elevating at 45 degrees does not change the action of the shot at all. Here's the original shot again. And here it is with the cue elevated at 45 degrees. Why should the first shot be a foul and the second shot be legal if the action of both shots is identical? The action of the shot is also no different for horizontal angles. The cue ball heads forward of the tangent line at angles much smaller than 45 degrees. And the cue ball still heads forward of the tangent line at angles much larger than 45 degrees. The action of the shot is certainly no different for an angle a little less than 45 degrees as compared to an angle a little more than 45 degrees. The choice of 45 degrees for the angle is totally arbitrary. Also, if elevating the cue instead of angling it horizontally, 45 degrees is a much larger angle than most players and refs think, and most people are not at 45 degrees when they think they are. For example, this is much less than 45 degrees. Even this is still less than 45 degrees. Look how high the cue needs to be elevated to make sure the angle is more than 45 degrees. This is much higher than most players and refs think is required to satisfy the VNEA 45-degree rule. And what if the player changes the angle of the cue during the stroke? The cue was at 45 degrees before the stroke, but the angle is definitely less than 45 degrees when the tip hit the cue ball. So is this a foul? Many people drop their elbow and change the angle of the cue during an elevated stroke like this. Again, VNEA, please get rid of this apparently arbitrary and problematic rule. There will be far fewer misunderstandings and disagreements, and nothing will need to be judged if we instead follow the official rules of pool and allow a hit into a frozen cue ball since it is not a double hit or a push shot. For unrefereed matches common in pool leagues, the WPA recommends calling cue ball fouls only. If a player touches or moves an object ball by accident and the moved ball doesn't affect the outcome of the shot, the opponent has the option of leaving the moved ball where it ends up or returning it as close as possible to the original position. The VNEA does follow the official rules of pool on this one. Here's an example where I am pocketing the 11 but touch the 13 with the cue after the hit. Under most rule sets, including the WPA official rules of pool, this would not be a foul when playing under cue ball fouls only. That shot actually was a foul because the tip hit the cue ball twice. But let's assume for now it wasn't a double hit, or the players didn't notice the double hit. Did you see the shaft hit the 13 after the hit? Again, the opponent has the option to leave the 13 where it is or return it to its original position. One problem with this is it can be difficult to know exactly where the ball was originally. My unscrupulous opponent might move it back to where they thought it was in a way that makes the next shot very difficult. Here, I do not have a direct look at a shot. But maybe I deserve this since I wasn't very careful and hit a ball I should not. Regardless, it is what it is. Luckily, I know the contact point mirror kicking system and can still get out. For jump and masse shots, enforcing cue ball fouls only can be a little tricky. Here's an obvious legal jump shot. And here's an obvious foul where the cue ball hits the 11 first instead of the 8. But what about this shot? Is this a foul? Not under WPA and VNEA rules. The 11 is not hit by the cue ball. The 11 is moved forward accidentally by the shaft after the hit. Again, under WPA cue ball fouls only rules, this would not be a foul, and you just won the game. This type of shot can be very difficult to judge, it can cause disagreements and hostility, and it just doesn't seem right to move the ball you are attempting to jump over. The CSI, BCAPL, and USAPL league system has made an improvement to their rules to address these issues. If you are trying to jump over or masse around an obstacle ball, the obstacle ball should not move, period. If it does, the shot is a foul. This makes it a lot easier to see and call a foul, and there is no potential for disagreements or bad feelings. Here's a masse shot example. The smart play here would be to pocket the 9-11-13 combo and run out. But if you didn't see this option, or if you were just trying to impress the ladies, you might instead attempt a masse shot around the 4 to pocket the 13. That was a good shot, but it was a bad choice since the 9 and 11 are tied up, although I could attempt to kick across the table to combo the 11 in. That would impress the ladies even more. What about this shot, where I am again attempting to masse around the 4 to pocket the 13? The cue ball cleared the 4 and the shaft moved the 4 after the hit. Is this a foul? Not under WPA or VNEA rules, but it is under CSI, BCAPL, USAPL rules. I really like the CSI cue ball fouls only rule modification. Hopefully, the WPA and non-CSI league systems will also pick up on this good idea. Under the official rules of pool, the table is open after the break, meaning you can hit any stripe or solid, but you are not allowed to hit the 8 first. You should not be allowed to hit the game ball first at any time during the game, unless you are on the game ball. Most leagues and tournaments follow this rule. However, under VNEA rules, you are allowed to hit the 8 first in a combination shot when the table is open. Here's an example. Here, a decent option is to hit the 9 first to pocket the 7 in the side. That would be legal under most leagues and tournaments. However, if you didn't see this option and you are playing under VNEA rules, you might choose the 8-15 combo instead. This is not a smart choice here, but it is legal under VNEA rules. If the post-break layout were like this instead, the 8-7 combo would be a good choice in VNEA. Following forward with speed opens the 1 and 4 a little, making the run out easier. However, the VNEA specific rule is a bit ridiculous and it should be removed. Again, please follow the official rules of pool like most people do, including all the other league systems. Under the official rules of pool, the 8-ball shot is treated the same as any shot. You don't need to call the pocket if the shot is obvious. In APA and VNEA leagues, you are required to place a marker close to the pocket where you intend to pocket the 8, like this. If the marker were somewhere else on the table, maybe from the previous game, and you forgot to move it, you would lose. This is just silly and can only cause hostility and bad feelings. As with any other shot, if the pocket is obvious, no call or marker should be required. Losing a game, and maybe a match, by not marking a short, straight-in shot on the 8 like this is a terrible thing. Nobody, except a real jerk, wants to win like this, and this rule can only cause disappointment and bad feelings. Leagues should be fun, not demoralizing. Please get rid of the marking or patching rule and use the official rules of pool. League rules should be written like this. If you must have exceptions, you can list them concisely, but you don't need to rewrite all the rules. The WPA rules and regulations are complete and detailed, and they are written by people who know how to write rules, and they are well tested and used worldwide. Also, any referee could then work in any league or tournament sponsored by any organization without needing to learn specific rule differences. Why can't everybody just use the same official rules of pool instead of making up silly stuff? If players want a concise version of the rules to keep in their cue case or to pull up online, short rule summary documents can be found on the rules resource page linked in the video description. I personally like all the changes the CSI, BCAPL, and USAPL system has made, and I hope the WPA and all other league systems eventually embrace these improvements. Some of the APA and VNEA special rules are just plain ridiculous and should be eliminated. Please try to convince your local league operators to contact the national organizations to get things changed. If enough people request improvements, maybe the organizations will listen. Good luck with your game, from Dr. Dave.